Okay, so here's the thing. Now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about sales mastery, but what I want to do is I want to go back to the formula real quick and talk about where to fit this in, okay? Because people think about selling in the wrong way. They think about selling as like some one-off event. Like, I'm going to get together with somebody and sell them, right? When the reality is you should always be selling, okay? In everything that you do. You should always be giving calls to action. You should always be running through all 12 steps of the sales process. If you're training, right, you should also be selling. Why? Because if you're not, you're just missing the opportunity to earn more money. And people actually appreciate being sold. They actually like it. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But what I want to do is I want to go back to the process here real quick we've talked about. So we've talked about targeting traffic, right? Then we talked about capturing leads. Then we talked about building responsiveness, right? Then we talked about funded proposal, right? And then we talked about a process of how to use that where the funded proposal leads to a coaching call, and then that leads to upselling, right? And then the tool that you use for upselling is you have a mastermind, and in this mastermind, okay, you recruit into your team. I also talked about earlier about giving for free to your whole list a weekly training to your whole list. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a little bit, right? But here's where you want to be selling. Number one, it pops up in the responsiveness series, right? And actually, you could break that down. You have 4 different videos. You got the big idea, you got the walkthrough, you've got the case study, and you've got the sales video. Well, the reality is, in my opinion, you're going through all 12 steps that I'm about to go through in every one of those videos, because even if the call to action that you're giving people at the end of the 12 steps is just to watch the next video, right? Even if that's the only call to action, it is still a call to action. I've got a 0 flashing on the screen, by the way. I don't know if that should be there yet. But all 12 of these steps should be present in everything that you do, in my opinion, because if you're not doing that, you're missing out on the ability to get people to take action. See, half of selling is getting people to pull out their credit card and just make a decision, right? And half of selling is actually just getting people to make a commitment of any kind. Because if you're getting somebody to make any kind of commitment, right, after maybe a capture page or whatever, if you're getting them to watch the next video, to look in their email inbox, to attend an event, to attend a conference call, you're selling all the time and you're getting them to make a decision all the time. So this process is actually really useful literally for everything you ever do. But specifically, it's going to pop up again and again and again and again on your weekly call or your weekly opportunity meeting, your weekly hangout that you do, and it's going to pop up again and again and again and again on your mastermind that you do and in conversations, right? So it's really important to master these steps because they're a fluid process, okay? Now, this is what we've gone through, and we've actually gone through this over the week, but I'm going to go through it again. I'm going to break down each one of the steps, and I'm going to give you examples of how to do each thing, okay? But when we talk about selling, you need to hit all 12 of these beats. Number one, you've got capture attention, right? And why do you need to capture attention? Because if you don't, people don't pay attention. And if people don't pay attention, they don't pull out their credit card and make a decision to buy, right? So you got to get people to pay attention first, right, before you do anything, right? And that's why sometimes I do the off-the-wall stuff that I do in my videos. Now I'm a little off the wall anyways, but one of the reasons I'm so off the wall, and I say this weird stuff, is because people they go like this and they say, did he really say that? And then their mind kind of shuts off and they pay attention, right? So you want to capture attention, right? Number two, you want to create rapport. Now, rapport is a whole art in itself. We've talked about it over the last week. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more today, right? But that is creating a responsive connection with another human being or with a group of human beings. Responsive connection, right? Now, the thing about selling online, the only problem with it is it's a little harder to see the signs of rapport. See, if you're in person, seeing rapport is actually really easy, right? Like I can tell with the people in the room when I'm really in rapport and when I'm starting to lose it, and I can make adjustments. I actually enjoy more training in front of people, right? Because I actually watch what people are doing even from the corner of my eyes, right? And if people aren't paying attention, I change what I'm saying, right? If they start laughing, I talk more about it, right? Rapport is creating a responsive connection with people where it leads them from a responsive connection to an agreement frame, right? Leads them to a frame of agreement where they start getting in a state where they're agreeing with you and saying yes, right? And you go from agreement, you go to trust, right? And you go from trust to little decisions to big decisions, right? Where you go through commitment phases with people. But rapport is essentially the art of getting people to connect with you. It is not friendship, Okay? You don't have to have a friendship with people you're selling to. And truth is, most of the people you sell to, they're not really going to be your friends because you won't really know who they are if you're doing a good job, right? I personally rather sell to people before I know who they are than have to know who they are to sell to them and have to be their friend. Because personally, I actually have like 20 or 30 friends, and everybody else is just like associations of mine or family members or people that like I've seen once, right? But I've sold things to literally hundreds of thousands of people by building rapport with them. So this is actually what you want to do, is build a responsive connection. We're going to talk about it more in a minute, okay? You want to gain credibility, right? And what's credibility? Credibility is specifically why somebody should listen to you. Like, you guys have seen that video Mars has played in between the sections, right? And in that video, he says, I'm Mars, I'm the CEO of Empower Network, right? But then what else does he say? He says, and if you don't know who I am, I actually run Launchman, and we've helped do over $71 million in sales. And if you don't believe it, you go to our site and look at our customer profile. It's made up of celebrities in the whole marketing space. We've helped the biggest launches and the biggest people do their launches. So he's saying, right, why is he doing that? Because he's saying, not only do I know how to do this, not only am I the CMO of Empower Network, which is the largest company of any kind of company like this, he says, but I've done over $71 million in sales, so pay attention, right? So all of a sudden you say, I need to listen to what this guy has to say because of the results that he's produced, right? So credibility, right? And then you got target a problem, right? Target a problem. Now this is actually easy if you've studied your market. Now this is actually a problem for most people, especially when they're selling anything, is they sell it based on the features of it. They describe what it is. I've got an energy drink right here. I've got, you know, the best coffee ever, right? But the best coffee ever doesn't really make me want to buy, right? Maybe it's something else. Maybe there's a benefit to me and there's a problem I have with my current coffee, right? You want to target a problem people have, and there's some steps in that I'm going to go through in a second. But target a problem, right? Give a solution to the problem, right? Next step is you want to create expectation. Next step is you want to create social proof. Next step is you want to show them the benefits. Next step is you want to give an irresistible offer. Right. Next step is you want to reverse the risk reversal. Next step is you want to create scarcity and urgency. Those are different. If you can create both, it's better, right? I'll describe the difference in a second. And the next step is the call to action. Now, the truth is, this does not necessarily need to happen in order, right? Like, people, sometimes they see these things and it's like, well, what's the order? Is this the right, have I gone through this in order? Now, for me, if I'm structuring out a sales presentation, I will structure it actually specifically like this and make sure I hit all the beats. The reality is, though, is that you don't need to hit these things in order. The only things you need to make sure to absolutely do is the first thing you need to do needs to capture attention, and the last thing you need to do needs to be call to action. You make sure to hit everything, okay? Now, I'll do it actually in order, right? And you guys will see this if you actually look through this and look through the course of the day. We're going on a beat doing this every hour. Like, every hour we're going through this process while we're training and while we're giving value. So the cool thing about this training today, and the cool thing about selling this training and getting people to buy it, the cool thing about it is I'm actually teaching you what to do by doing it in front of you. So as you're making a decision to buy, you're realizing that I've been doing this the whole time the way I've been teaching you to do it. So you can actually just look at that as a model on how to sell things, all right? How to turn a training into a sales presentation. So let's go look at each one of these steps here real quick. I'm going to break a couple of them down, and then I'm going to go back to really how to do it and how to really become artful at it. Because this is one of the things that you're going to have to do it and 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 do it. And I'm a lot better at this today than I was a year ago, and a year ago I was a lot better than I was 5 years ago. I get better at selling literally every single time I get up and I ask somebody to buy something, right? And those of you who've been around